Allow me to introduce myself. I am Tinashe Mujera. I'm an author, I'm a marketplace professional, and I'm a woman of God. I am a representation of tested faith. I represent my healed wounds that left ugly scars. This is the Faith in Action podcast that has been created to help you find the journey to your true self through conversations and lessons shared. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Faith in Action podcast. With me, your host, Tinashe Mujera. I am excited, as usual, to be hosting a remarkable guest tonight. As you know, Faith in Action is all about talking about our own stories and how we've navigated through those stories in faith. And today is a very special day because I happen to host a remarkable woman by the name Shada Francis. And we're going to be talking all things faith and especially about her own life journey. She's going to be sharing a lot about her own personal experiences, what she went through, and how far she's reached, especially with working on self. So I'm excited to have Shada join us. Shada is a leadership coach. She is a therapist. She's done a lot of work. She's also an emotional healing coach. She's a certified NLP practitioner. She's studied law of attraction. She is an international educator, a trainer, and a motivational speaker who is dedicated to helping people overcome their fears, reclaim their power, and thrive in the life they love. I mean, I had a little bit of a chat with her, and boy, oh boy, I was just blown away already. And I'm excited because she's going to be sharing so much wisdom with us. And I believe not one, not two, not even three, but so many people are going to be touched by this beautiful story tonight. So please stay tuned. Don't leave your seats, get your coffee, get your water, and let's deep dive into this conversation. Send through questions on the chat if you do have any as we go through the episode, and she will gladly answer those questions at the end of the episode. So if you can all just help me to welcome Shada Francis. Shada, welcome.
Thank you so much, Nasha, for that introduction. It's quite a bit just listening to the introduction from you about myself. Thank you. Thank you so much.
A pleasure, a pleasure, a pleasure, Shada. Thank you for honoring the invite to be on the Faith in Action podcast and to come through and share your faith journey, your experiences, the seasons you've gone through. I mean, just reading through your story, I said to you earlier, I almost was about to burst into tears because it so resonates. It just so resonates. Do you want to give a brief introduction about yourself? Maybe I've left something out, and maybe just an overall picture of what you want to share with our listeners, with our audience tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, as you know, I know we just now spoke as well. I do leadership and life coach training, and I also do coaching leaders, especially leaders who are stuck, both men and women. That when I say stuck, that are trapped with the old emotions, the childhood emotions, things that they never gave off with. We find lots of people move on without forgiving themselves. Number one, and we always want to forgive the people around us, but we don't forgive ourselves. Like you and I just had a chat. So I help people, especially leaders who are leading other people. Because it's very dangerous if you are not healed, if you're not working on healing yourself to work with people. So my job is basically, I just want to help people to heal from the past trauma, the pain, whatever they're carrying, so they don't get triggered with a new life they are now creating for themselves. Because when they get, it's not only themselves, it's the people that are around them. It could be the families, it could be people they're working with, and it becomes a very toxic environment, right?
True,
So
true.
yeah, so that's what I coach. I coach leaders, and I also coach people that are right now stuck wherever they are in their life. When I say stuck, people are going through so much like they never did before in
Mm,
life. It doesn't show what knowing history, you see what people are going right now. The stress level, you get young people that are dying with heart attacks, never heard of.
yeah,
That are
yeah.
so young, giving birth at 15 and 14, never heard of. Like continuously become it's just a way of life for some of the people. And people are so stuck in the way of doing things as well. So just to help people to find their purpose in life, to know that they are worthy no matter what they're going through. And lots of
Mm,
us feel that we are not worthy because of what happened to us in the past, the
sure.
shame or whatever they carry. So they feel they are not worthy of something new, that they do have potential in them. A good example is if you find people like I would say in the poorer communities,
Mm,
they, all they feel is this is my life.
mm, mm, mm,
So
mm,
go to school and talk to them, bringing life to children and showing them there is a better life than where they are right now.
mm.
It's
Sure,
not
sure.
when I coaching leaders, I talk about coaching most people, in fact, because we all are leaders, no matter what
That's
area of life you are. A mother, a father, a sister, a brother, anyone, you are leading someone. We have this notion that a leader is only someone in a corporate company or someone that has a team of people in the corporate. No. When you're leading anyone else, and how can
true.
you be a leader who brings the best out of people?
Hmm. Hmm. It's interesting that you unpicked that leadership story because a lot of people shy away from the word leader when they hear about it, and they forget that they are the leaders of themselves. You are the leader of your children in your own home. You lead your siblings if you've got younger siblings that come after you. So a lot of us shy away from the leadership word because we almost associate it with being in corporate and leading a team only, and never even realizing that you're your own leader. You lead you. So thank you for unpacking that, Shada. I'm going to start with this beautiful write up that I got on your website. Like thousands of people, I was trapped in a marriage, losing my own identity. When I hit rock bottom, I realized I have to do something. I had to rescue myself. No one was going to rescue me. I had to be committed to what was in my mind. After my divorce and newfound freedom, I had a new beginning in Asia. I have since experienced many challenges, but with God. These challenges have helped change, shape, and made me who I am today. I've transformed my life to a life of abundance. I'm thankful for and accept every challenge as an opportunity to become a better version of myself. Sure. That's deep, Shada. You talk about God here and you talk about losing your own identity, being trapped in a marriage, rescuing yourself, committing to what was in your mind, going through many challenges. I just want you to go deeper into that specific story of feeling trapped in a marriage and the emotional impact it had um, on your sense of identity, your well being with us. And maybe just help us identify these signs for those that are in marriages and dealing with the same challenges.
Right. Thank you so much. As you read out that piece from my website, you brought me back to that memory when I wrote that out, and I relived that part of my life again. Yeah, it was. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Shada.
Yeah. When I say I was trapped in a marriage, I was married when I was very young. I was 19, and I had my kids very young as well. My ex husband came from a family, I think, where he felt that women had to be taken control of. Let's put it that way. Yeah. And as as we had as I had my three children, and as I continued my life with him, he became more and more possessive. And suddenly I was losing my identity. I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. And then the religion was the other part. I had the religion. were also dictating to me. So I had the religion, I had my ex-husband, and then as the children were growing, so I was between these three areas of my life, right? And trying to do the best for my kids in this environment, which I did, which I did.
Yeah.
Um, and when you're in a marriage like that, where you're trying to please to keep the peace,
Sure.
it's not easy.
Mm,
Suddenly lose who you are.
mm,
So,
mm,
and yet you have, we had the home, we had the security of a home. I must also admit, he was a provider, and we had everything that life could give you, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't giving me who I was. I was moving away from who I truly am and truly was. And as time went on, I found that the religion was also playing a big part on curating who I should be to suit the religion. So I had the home environment
mm,
where my ex-husband was trying to create my life, to suit his needs. I had the
mm,
religion, their needs. I had to take care of kids, but I was still working during that time.
mm,
I was still working. And the thing that you want, when I asked myself, how did I do all that? And I strongly believe it was God. God
mm.
was it. Because
Sorry,
when
Shada.
yeah.
There's some noise, background noise on your side. I don't know if you want to just check around. It's interrupting with the sound.
Now?
Something. Okay, it looks good now. Something was like knocking off. Yeah, but we're good now. Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. So I had the religion. I had to take care of my job. I had my children, and then I had my ex-husband who was on me. Like in every move you did, he was abusive,
Mm,
emotionally and physically.
sure.
So I had to wear a different mask for the different stages. And I also was in the corporate world. I also had a management role.
Mm,
So I was juggling all this, and it wasn't easy because when you do that after a while, you lose yourself and you just become
mm,
for everybody. And that's what happened to me. And and so I can relate very much, so much so with any woman that's going through that. Most times we say to people, why don't you get out? It's not easy when you have children.
yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
easy because you have them in a secure place. And when you want to move out of there, this type of people will come back behind me. And he came many times behind me looking for me,
Sure.
even though I moved. Financially, we were well off. We were well off financially. So I could get
Mm,
another property. I did that, but he would follow me. So, and that interfered with my work. So, and I was at this place where I was, and during that time, I was also, the house was burgled twice.
sure.
I was held up by gunpoint in my driveway.
Sure.
So there's so much going in me. So one day I remember so clearly, so vividly, I went to the school to drop off the child, and as I was running around the zoo lake,
Mm,
I was running around the zoo lake, and I just sat there and I thought, what am I doing with my life? What is, what is going on with me? Why am I allowing this?
mm,
Whatever it
mm,
takes, I'm gonna get out of this.
sure.
We all say we all have resilience and we have the power, but there comes a time, like there's a season where you give up and you say, I'm
Yeah.
not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to
Yeah.
do it anymore. And
Yeah.
that's the day I made up my mind to say, no, I'm not. And that's when I decided to go and get my divorce. And he even threatened at one time, if I get the divorce, he's going to hurt me.
Sure.
I went ahead and I did it. And I did it. But during that time, Tina, what I also did, I kept studying.
Mm,
And that's
mm,
what I always do. You've got to have a backup plan. And I had a backup plan.
yeah.
Because at the same time, I did some counseling for women and child abuse, power in
Yes.
their people opposing women and child abuse. And just by coaching them, and I'm not coaching them, counseling them and working with them, it toughened me with my
Mm,
issues. That's why I
mm,
always tell people, if you have an issue, go and help somebody else with a similar issue. You actually
wow.
build this. And that's what I did
Wow.
there. And from there, I learned a lot of skills on how to deal with him and what to do. And
Mm,
after that, that's when I got my divorce from him and I didn't walk away. I started a new life. First, I moved into Johannesburg. I got a place, I bought a house, and I moved in there. And I decided, made a decision that I am going to walk in faith with God. Whatever happens, go with it. I remember praying, fervently praying, show me a way and what I should do. Um, I think it's Mark 11, 22 to 25. I think it says, pray and ask for what you want. Have faith and don't doubt. And the next scripture says, forgive.
Yeah.
God forgives you. And I read the scripture and I read it over and over and over. And I thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to walk in faith and believe I can get out of this and get out of here. Within that month, I started looking for another job. And by chance, someone told me, why don't you apply for this position in Hong Kong? And I did that.
Wow.
3 months, I got the job. I
Wow.
left the place here and I traveled as a single mom. Amy was then 8 years old or 9 here. As a single mom, and I found that's when I got my freedom. That's when I felt like so much of baggage was out of me. And literally it was baggage, because what we went with is only 2 suitcases each.
Sure.
Everything that we had put into that new home, I left everything.
Sure.
And I say everything. It was a beautiful place and beautiful house. I left everything there.
Sure. Sure.
And 2 bags each, and that was a freedom I found. It was like the weight just went off me. Just carrying those 2 bags of us and then going to an unknown country where we couldn't speak the language. The culture was totally different.
Yeah.
Finding a new place to stay, everything was totally new. We know you don't have a car when you go there. We went to Shanghai. When we got there, sun, and just going on the plane, I still remember sitting on the plane, going throughout the plane. I remember sitting in the toilet seat and just crying, have I made the right decision? Have I made the right, have I done the right thing? Everything I'm now going. But every time I keep coming back, in faith, it's going to happen. Don't doubt. And I kept saying that to myself. I remember that plane flight was so long because, everything was happening. You're going through everything. And eventually we get to Shanghai at about just after 1 in the morning, a.m. But this is what I said. When we got there and we were taken to our apartments, we were met by the HR and took us to the apartment. And when we got there into the apartment and we looked around, it was just one small little apartment compared to the house we had. We had one bed, just one bed. Yeah, we had one bed there. And I'm like, what are we going to do? This is the place we came to. God, this is what you took me from there to here. But again, in fact, I said it's going to happen. Well, not long after that, we had a beautiful apartment, double-story apartment, were given to us.
Wow.
And everything, when you walk in faith, God and the universe opens doors for you. You just got to keep going. You're going to have your challenges. You're going to have your rejections. There's going to be how strong you stand with God. That's the thing.
Wow. Wow.
Because
Wow.
in the failure, in the rejection, we're very quick to give up and find a way out. I remember my family telling me, why don't you come back? Why don't you come back? And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to continue the journey that I started. And one of the things, I remember us talking before we came on the program, on the show here, we mentioned that I said to you, and even while I was there, as I started my job and started working, the fear that I had of my ex-husband was still in me.
Sure.
The fear that he may just get hold of me somewhere here in the busiest streets of Shanghai. It takes a long time to work through that. And that's what I started doing. And, we started a new life there, but, we had to learn the language again, learn how to speak and what to do. I had to teach Amy to walk the streets, to cross the roads. And we never crossed roads here. I used to teach her at night how to cross the roads. Busy streets. And then she started learning the new language. I had to start learning the language. Everything was the culture shock. And you keep questioning yourself. This is where we go wrong. When we believe, walk in faith and we pray, we mustn't question often. Don't question.
Wow.
We tend to question, like, why am I here? What's going on here? Never question. And this, when we release to God, when we release anything, we got to walk in that faith, believing it's done.
Wow.
over the years, that's what I started doing. And after a few, after a year, everything was so good. I continued staying there for another 17 years, 16 years.
Wow. Wow, Shada. Sure. Sure. Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful story. I mean, I'm just enjoying listening because with every season and experience, there is almost like a lesson then you share with that, which is really amazing. Um, you talk a lot about faith in God. I'm gonna take you a little bit backwards, Shada, talking about, the failed marriage and how you left. And I wanna tie in, the word of God and religion into that as well to say you as a Christian and divorcing and leaving a marriage, what did that mean for you? I mean, I know a lot of people that are in abusive relationships but cannot because religion has said, like you're saying, because people are going to judge, because, of course, the word of God is against divorce. But when do you know that this is the time that I cannot sacrifice my life and I just need to leave this place? It's either me, I'm dying here. It's either I choose to leave or to die. How can you take us through that?
I'm happy you asked me that question. I'm so happy you asked me that question. And like earlier when I said to you, I was trapped in religion too.
Mm,
And that's exactly what I meant to you. When you're trapped
mm,
in religion, this is what, and it's so good that, well, yes, God does say in the scripture, if there's fornication in the marriage, adultery, that's one of the reasons. So, yes, I did that. And that was one of the reasons. However, again, I'm going to go back to your question. When there's abuse in the marriage, like physical abuse or any abuse, mental, physically, emotional abuse, any type of abuse in anyone's life or in anyone's marriage, what happens to you? The question, what happens to you? You get damaged. You are damaged.
yeah, yeah,
You get
yeah,
damaged mentally. And what do you do to your children, your family?
yeah,
You damage them.
yeah,
With
yeah.
the result, generations after that are damaged.
Sure.
And that's what we need to understand. And then we're going to go back to and ask ourselves, our God is a loving God.
Mm,
He teaches us to love.
mm,
So why would we want to damage yourself and the children? We won't be able to even worship our God properly. Which
sure.
is number one. Is it our God that we want to worship, or we want to worship a religion?
Mm, mm, mm,
We got to be very clear. Do we want to worship our God, who's a
mm,
loving God, a God that
mm,
teaches us how to forgive, a God teaches us how to love, how to bring up your children in Proverbs. But then you're now saying religion says you can't do this, but you got to stick in that marriage and get brutally hurt.
sure.
In the
Sure.
interim, your children may get hurt too.
Mm, mm, mm,
Anyway, we understand anywhere in the Bible, anyone can show it to me. The Bible does not say damage yourselves. No.
yeah, yeah.
No. When you are damaged, how can you worship God?
Mm, mm, mm,
God has
mm,
given you a vessel, which is your body, and God has also given you the children that you got to
mm.
protect.
That's true. Sure.
Look at what's happening right now. I'll give an example in South Africa. I did a healing session last year in September. I was at a women's conference in Johannesburg, and there was a lot of healing exercise that took place. And women leaders from, I think, from about 20 southern African countries, and was hosted by Mrs. Thabo Mbeki, Zanele Mbeki. She hosted it. Yeah.
Wow.
One of the interesting things that we're talking about was because people are not fully healed, we carry those, the hurt from our parents or whatever, and we start hurting our children, our families. And what are we getting at? Look at the rape. Where does it come from?
Mm,
Hurt.
mm,
If you're not healed, you're going to hurt more people. You have this toxic behavior. So this is why from my point of view, if you, I strongly believe that I strongly say, people shouldn't be in this situation. We need to help them. And we
that's
shouldn't look down on anybody that makes a decision based on the damage that come to them. We don't want to be crying on somebody when they did.
mm, yeah, that's true. That's so true. When we could have helped them, actually. I'm so
Uh,
glad you unpacked that. Um,
on that question, I was just going to ask you something else. If you look back, if you look at anybody, wherever you are, or We always, when we look at something that's terribly done, we say, "Oh, it's so bad, it's so sad," or whatever. Even in church, wherever we are, it can be anywhere. But do we say, "Come to my house"?
Mm.
Do we ever invite them to say, "Come into my house, stay with me for a week"?
True. True.
So when we are so quick from the point of the religion point of view to say you shouldn't be leaving your house,
Mm.
leaving that man or woman that's hurting you.
Mm. 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 Yeah, that's deep, Shada, and that's where we tend to question a whole lot.
Mhm.
So just like you said that ah yeah, it's deep that we want to use. I suppose we want to use the word when it suits us, and when it doesn't suit, we want to discard it. Because really, who is there giving a real helping hand to say, come in, just come and stay for a month. Here's
Mhm.
the room, be okay, find you, heal. Because everybody deserves that, I guess that extension of love, and that we preach but we don't practice. Yeah, quite sad and quite deep, some of the things that you're sharing. I want to read this, Shada. I want to try and touch as many parts as I can, while I have you online. You say here, September 23, 2007.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to quickly read it. I recall so vividly now as I listen to the plane glide swiftly through the sky. Every morning after dropping off Amy at school, I would have me time and jog around the lake. One morning I was sprinting at full speed. I do not know when and how, but I found myself at a particular spot at the lake where I would not normally venture, sitting on a bench and sobbing uncontrollably. Through my tears, crying out and asking, Shada, what in the world is going on with you? Despite everyone, and here's the part, despite everyone telling me how strong I was, when in fact I was dying inside. How easy is it that us as mortal human beings can fool people so often? Geez, that made me cry.
Mhm.
It even makes me want to cry now because I can relate um, very strongly to this, Shada, where everybody has painted a picture of you are the strong one, you are strong, you are strong, you are strong, and you must just remain strong. But until which point do I remain strong? Because, yes, on the outside, it looks like I've got it all together, but inside, nothing is together. It's all falling apart. Now, I want you to take us through, that part, how you felt in that moment on that September 23, 2007. I guess that was the time you were flying into. But that day in particular, where you sat by the lake and you asked yourself questions, but at the same time crying. And yes, everybody saying you're strong, because everybody you confide in, you speak to, there's this notion where everybody just says there's people that are strong. I'm one of those that is always told, always has been told from a young age, growing up, being a firstborn, doing this, you are strong, you're strong, you're strong. But until which point? Um, Please take
Mm.
us through that.
Yeah, that is so true, right? I know, yeah, because you dressed well, you have the fancy car, you have the house with the swimming pool, you have everything, you entertain and everything, and you keep putting on the mask to look good, feel good. Everybody comes and goes, and then it all starts again, right? And there comes a point when resilience gets lost somewhere along the way.
Sure.
We talk about being the resilient woman, we talk about being the strong woman, the warrior, and I think we need to stop saying that. We need to
Mm.
stop saying that you're a warrior or you're the strong woman.
Yeah.
You got altered. No, 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 we don't. And I realized at that time, because everybody saw me together and everybody knew me that way, and that's how I was, and that's the mask I had. I had
Mm.
different masks, different things, right? And when I
Mm.
sat there and I cry, I could still hear myself crying there. I can still picture that place. Uh,
Sure.
Sitting there and crying, and I went more deeper into that park because I didn't want anyone to see. But I cried and cried, like, what is happening? What is it? And how can I allow myself to do this?
Mm.
Um, and today. Tina, of all days, I met a friend after about 20 years,
Wow.
and a very good friend. And she was the one friend that I told her that day I met with, on that day. And I said to her, "This is my decision." And she supported me fully. She was from the church I
Wow.
went to. Only she knew what I was going through fully.
Mm,
And I
mm,
told her. And today we met in Cape Town. She was in Cape Town. And it was
wow.
just an amazing, amazing. Yeah. And I sat with her later that day. But you get to a place where you feel like you're flying, everything is happening to you. You just lose, you're just going through the motions of life.
Mm, mm,
Everything you do, you're not present.
mm,
When you know how to put your lipstick, you know how to put your mascara, you're just doing it, but you're not.
mm. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I was at that time, and that's why I say, Lord, I believe strongly, 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 and I can. This is not a debate, but it's the truth that God does not want anyone to be in that situation. Or any religion, God does not, and especially from a Christian standpoint, God does
Mm,
not want anyone to be in this situation, because everything that happened to me after that, Tina, was just so good, because every
wow.
decision, everything I asked, I called on God, and everything was so smooth sailing. The decision I made there that day was a decision I made. I'm not going to turn back from it. From there, I drove to the lawyer,
Mm,
and I paid them. I paid them a good sum of money. Everything was done so fast, but that decision I made there was a turning point in my life. It was a turning,
wow.
and I had to get to that breaking stage there. So anyone is listening here today as well, when you get to that place where you can't take it anymore, that's when you're going to make your decision on what you're going
Mm,
to do. And I can
mm,
assure you, you can call on God, the universe, whoever your source is, will be there to support you. But you
mm.
have to make the call. Only you can make the change.
That's right. That's
God is
right.
waiting, and the universe is waiting for you. And when I made that decision to go, to make a decision to leave that marriage, leave everything that I bought and furnish a new home, I walked out without anything. And the best decision I ever made. Walking with, and so for to anyone
Wow.
listening yet today, again, I would say, don't be so strong that I was, because I'm so lucky that I never had a breakdown. I never, I'm like you said, what's your age? Pretty good,
Mm,
right? But you know what I'm saying? Everybody has a tendency of saying, "Oh, you're strong, you can do it. Oh,
mm,
just push on. It's okay." The okay thing. Tomorrow will be a better day. No, when somebody's in a situation, don't tell them tomorrow's a better day. Today's a day that they have to make they have to make a decision. Tomorrow is not going to be a better day if you don't make the decision today.
that's right. Wow. Wow. Thank you, Shada. Thank you. That's power. I love. I actually didn't think there was so much to it, but thank you for unpacking. And that breaking point is the day, or is that time to make that decision that will change the entire course of your life. And I hope that you guys are also learning, and learning a lot from this, especially with this notion of you are strong, you can do this. Sometimes take a step back and really just be in that person's space, and be there for them and help them to make the decision they need to make. Show them the direction, show them love,
Mm.
in its entirety. Shada, how did you begin the process of rediscovering and reclaiming your sense of self and individual identity?
Mhm. Thank you. Um, Going to China wasn't an easy thing. Like I said, I had my challenges. I had everything else that came with it. But just walking, knowing that I'm going to make it happen, no matter what. The first thing was getting my freedom. Getting that freedom was, it was like a Nobel Prize, the ultimate. When I say the ultimate, you can do like turnovers on the bed, you can do anything, anytime. You don't have to answer anybody. I mean, that for me was wow. I've got the best prize ever. God, thank you.
Yeah.
When I had that, when you get that, and that's when you know you have peace of mind that never existed. You feel it's like a child starting all over again. If you look at a child that's about 5, 6, and this morning I one of my family members, I saw the child all playing and being so happy with life, and that's what happened to me. I was so happy with life that no more I had to answer to religion or to my ex-husband or to anybody.
Wow. Wow.
And that's what God made us to do. He made us. He gave us a purpose for life, our life. Yes, but if your partner cannot respect you and treat you for who you are as a human, then there's something wrong. And
Yeah.
for me, walking here was totally different. So my freedom was that letting go and just being myself. And during that time, I also had to forgive my ex-husband to heal.
Mm, mm,
So I had a coach. I got a coach when I was in Shanghai. I found a coach that can coach me. She was um, a radio announcer from Utah, and she used to do coaching, and we did it online virtually at that time. And she coached me, and she said one of the things you have to do, and she was is to also forgive him. You'll never heal, and things are not going to go unless you. And I started the forgiveness journey, and
mm,
it was very, very difficult, Tina, at first. Like it took me about a year and a half to really forgive him. Or
mm.
because everything my life that I had and lost was because of him.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
about everything. You can try building a house, but someone keeps breaking it. Where do you build?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You keep going backwards.
absolutely. So it was very difficult to forgive him, but I did eventually forgive him. But as I started forgiving him, I realized, wow, I felt sorry for him.
Mm,
I feel sorry for him. I actually
mm.
feel for him. And that I started praying for him. I even prayed that he meet somebody nice and live a decent life.
Wow.
You know, so your prayer suddenly tells differently when you do that. Uh, and then I got the second coach who helped me with my business, my life, on the professional side. And he helped me on that. And as I was being coached, I saw the transformation in my life.
Wow. Wow.
It,
Wow.
and it not only my own life, my professional life as well. You know,
Wow.
I started growing with the jobs where I was in China and in Hong Kong. I took on good roles and I got good positions, but
Wow.
I lived a life of abundance. I wasn't looking for wealth. I was looking for happiness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was looking to live a life of abundance. And that's what I always pray. There's a difference between wealth and abundance.
Mm, I love it.
Great
I love
difference.
it.
Because you can
Yeah.
chase wealth for your rest of your life and you can go to grave not enjoying that wealth.
Mm, mm, mm.
But for a life of abundance, you can enjoy everything that's around you, even the bad times.
Wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
money will come.
Wow. Wow.
But you
You
shouldn't
know,
get, yeah.
wow. Power, 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 Shada. Because that's what's going to be my next question to you. Because I was going to say, I mean, losing everything and starting all over, which I think is a trap for many people, is because they're so attached to the physical things, my car, my couches, my everything, my house, and they can't move. They're stuck because of those things, and they're scared to say, okay, what if I'll never get a car again? What if I'll never get a house and a home again? And you're right. There's this quote that I see here on your website where it says, abundance is a process of letting go. And then it says, that which is empty can receive. And I like that you're already unpacking that for us. So
Wow.
I love the the analogy between wealth and abundance, because and I want you to just hammer a lot there, because we tend to think wealth is abundance, accumulating physical things is abundance. What is abundance, Shada?
Yeah, and it's really good that you brought that out as well because abundance, let me break it down again. When you're looking live a life of abundance, you don't only live for you,
Mm,
you live for the people around you as well. For me, my abundant life for me is a life that's full. I live a life to my life is not only for me and my children, my family, my life goes beyond that. Right. So abundant life for me is to make sure whatever I do, I show up in excellence
mm,
in whatever I do, number one. Whatever the job is, whatever I do, I try to number one. Number two, I know my values. So I live out my values in my abundant life. The
wow.
respect, the love, as much as I can.
Mm,
I'm a human, I do falter, right? But I quickly get myself back, right? An abundant life is where you want to see other people rise. And in that rise that you want other people to do, you'll find you're living a life that wealth comes to you, money comes to you,
wow.
promotions come to you.
Wow.
You even fly first class without
Wow.
you knowing what's going to happen to you. So when you pursue that and when you let go of all that you are holding on to, I'll give you a typical example. When I had my house owned in Johannesburg, and we had a beautiful pool, It was massive, and entertainment was always outside. I would run to the shop, drive to the, I'm sorry, run. I would drive my car to the shop, up and down, making sure that everything on the table is perfect. Serviettes, the serviette holder, everything. And I'll be so tired and fagged by the time everyone comes
Mm,
because I'm making perfection. And that's how I
mm,
live my life. But when I let go, when you want something new to live a life of abundance, you got to let go. You got to let go of the things that held you back.
wow.
It's like,
Wow.
oh, sorry, I didn't have this water here, right? It's white.
Yeah.
I think it was blue. And I keep trying to fill my new things. And what color is going to go? Blue as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Blue. So you're not going to do. So and the best thing was for me to let go of everything. Everything. When I say everything, that's another chapter on its own. Everything I let
Wow.
go. And I was not attached to anything that I was attached to at one time. The car. Oh, by the way, I left my car with my son and he had it parked in the garage. So everything was just everywhere. It didn't bother me because I was living a life that God catered for me on the other side. New
Wow.
friends, new people, new church, everything was happening. Over time, I forgot about, and of course, I knew my family, but I wasn't missing anything. I had more than enough on the other side.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and so that for me was abundance. I had everything there. I had, the work that I had paid for a house for me.
Wow. Wow.
And I was paying for the house. Everything was there, beautiful. I lived on the best street there, and everything was good. I didn't have to worry about a car. So when you want something so badly, and you think you got to let go of everything that's attached to that old memory.
Oh, that is so deep, Shada. I mean, I can relate when you talk about being a perfectionist. Jeez, I am one. I'm guilty of that. Everything must be in the right place. Everything must be done right. Like I must, if I'm hosting, like you say, I will be running around to make sure that I go all out so that everything is perfect. But there's something there, I guess, like you're saying, that you need to let go even those behaviors to allow a change and a shift within you, I suppose. And wow, that is powerful, Chada. So in other words, abundance is here.
In your heart. It's your soul.
Mm,
It's yeah.
mm, mm,
Because
mm.
if you look at something, let's look at this. Let's go back here very quickly. When you look at pursuing wealth all the time, what are you doing?
Sure,
You're
sure.
always holding on to what am I getting? Who's taking it? What could happen? And you build all these things around you, the barriers with people. Oh, they're jealous about this person. But when you
Mm,
start looking, at most people, I would say most people are that inclined. Not all, but most people are inclined that way. Because you're so what's the word I'm looking for here? You're so attached to everything. And that's why when we want something, when we ask something in faith, never be attached to it.
jeez. Wow,
And
wow.
that's the secret of anything you want. I've learned that as well. When you want something, you ask for it, give it to God or the universe, surrender. But don't be attached to it. When you're attached to it, it's not a good feeling for God or the universe.
Hmm. It's amazing. I'm seeing this picture of Abraham and Isaac going up that mountain, and he's supposed to let go and sacrifice the one thing that he had faithed for so many
Right.
years. Can you believe, Shada? And God says, "Go into the unknown, do it." And right then, because he obeyed, the abundance come. There was a ram that was provided, and I just saw that come through. How deep that is, so powerful. Wow,
So
wow.
that's a good one. That's a good example what you gave. So it's powerful. And he wasn't attached to it. He just went there. He obeyed.
True,
Right? He
true,
didn't tell
true.
everybody this is what's going to happen. He wasn't attached to anything. Look at Lot's wife. What happened to her when you look back?
Mm, power, power.
Mhm.
Shada, you're speaking to me today. It's not about the audience. Today is about me, really. What practical advice or insights would you offer to individuals who are struggling to maintain their identity and autonomy within their relationships or marriages?
My advice to anyone is if you're in a marriage or in a relationship, I'm going to just, before you get, okay, if you're already in a marriage, you need to find your own identity. When you lose your identity, it's not right for any partner to ask you to change for them. You should not be changing, number one, for anyone. If you the change would be a good change, the way you both agree on, but not change your character.
Mm.
Because we all have different DNAs.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
are made uniquely. We agree that we are made uniquely. Science has shown us that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So why do you want to change somebody else and make them to be somebody else?
Mm.
And for anybody that's in a relationship, my advice, because I do that, I coach clients as well. Well, number one, don't jump into a relationship straight away. Don't run into a marriage straight away or get engaged straight away. Look at what is it that I need to work on now. What are some of the areas of my life that I need to work on? What are some of the things that did not work with me in the past relationship or the past marriage or whatever it is?
Yeah.
What did I do there that I don't want to do now? What am I looking for with a new partner? What is it that both of us need to work on now before we come together? And the thing is, with relationships, lots of people are not open at the outset.
Yeah.
And if you can't be open with your partner at the outset, then that's not for you.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Because you're actually building a life on lies or on things that are not solid. So you're always going to have an identity that's not yours because you're going to be pretending. But if you come in with truth and you're visible with the truth of who you are, both of you, there's no hiding. And if you do that before you come together, you don't ever get into the marriage because lots of people say, "Oh, when I get married, I'll fix it up and I'll do this." No, no, I don't. Why must you're not a laborer in that marriage? And that's what happened to me. I was like a laborer in my marriage,
Sure.
like digging, like a laborer. You're not a laborer in your marriage.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
with each one comes with the best. And then you walk through whatever it is gently, but not coming there and saying, "Oh, you got to do this, and I got to work on this," and then find out something is not right about one of them. It's a bit too late.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is so interesting because we also think that we fix people. I know he will change. Or when he loves me, because of me, he will decide to change. Or when I have a baby, he will change. Or when I do this, especially us women, we are guilty of wanting to be the fixers because of the nurturing almost spirit within us, of course, I guess, that God has just given us. And that's, I suppose, is what you're unpacking now to say you won't. It cannot work. If there isn't, the foundation is not set, don't expect any other way but what it is. Unless, of course, the person agrees to really go on the journey for themselves,
Change.
well, to find their own change. Oh, Shada. Yeah, I'm loving this conversation. You talk about, you know, if you are not willing to do you know the work on yourself, and what comes to my mind is self-awareness and self-work and the inner work, which I find is one of the most difficult things that a lot of people shy away from. Now I want you to just unpack what self work or inner work looks like, and that self awareness journey, and tying it into the importance of coaching and why coaching is important. Because a lot of people in Africa don't understand the power that lies in coaching as yet. They haven't grasped it. And I think it's important that we learn this because we talk about healing, we talk about self awareness, we talk about improving and a whole lot about personal development, emotional intelligence, and these things. But no one really speaks about what is the process. Do you need a coach? Because you spoke a lot about how you got a coach for your healing and your own and finding you. Then you move from there and you now said, okay, I'm ready to make changes in my business, to set up the things that I want, my vision, my goals. And then you got a business coach to assist you. So where do we find that balance, the synergy? Where does coaching come in? Self work, inner work, and tying it together.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, there's so many modalities that are going. I mean, people are talking about all kinds of things. We're not understanding why we're doing it and what are we going to get out of it, the benefit, right? And it all
Yeah.
starts again, that saying, know thyself, right?
Mm.
That quote, know
Yes.
thyself. You've got to
Yes.
know yourself for who you are, not with all your accreditations, your degrees, your whatever, or whatever you are as a professor, or what work you as a person, who are you? Me, who am I? And I had to do that. Like, and you got to do it all the time. It's not a once-off thing. Like, who am I in this situation? Who am I? Right? So you got to ask yourself clearly, who am I as a person? What do I stand for? What are my values? And lots of people want to do this, want to do the goals, or they want to do their vision board, not understanding what their values are.
Mm.
Number one, doesn't work. Because when I work with a client, I do I look at the values, and then we look at where they are in their life, basically, like using the wheel of life kind of format, like
Mm.
where in the different aspects of your life, because you can't fix your life if you don't look at all the other aspects of your life,
Yeah.
right? Because, and that's what I do. And I look at me looking at your, so for me, to know yourself, to know your value. What are my values? Where do I compromise with my values, and why will I
Mm.
compromise?
Mm. Mm.
Right? Because if and you find a lot of people, and if you know your values, and then you know how to put boundaries for yourself. Because so many of us are exhausted doing things
Yeah.
for people. We're doing things, we're looking for validation, we feel insecure,
True.
right? So if you really know yourself, and then you know why you're feeling insecure, where does it come from? What do I need to work on? So knowing yourself is a lot of unpacking there, a
Mm.
lot of unpacking.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So I think you got to ask yourself, once you know that, then you know where do I put boundaries and what type of. So if looking at people, even in the workplace or anywhere else, you would know a person's character when they walk into a room.
Yeah.
Watch people if you go networking. Just watch a person. You stand aside and with your wine, your coffee, with whatever. Take 10 minutes and watch two different people and see how their behavior is. You will know who's got boundaries, who compromises,
Yeah. Yeah.
and if you're looking for someone, stand there and have a look. And then you know if that person is good for me to meet up with. Can I do business with him?
Wow. 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 Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So that's so important to know yourself, and then you know your boundaries. And once you know yourself, and then you can ask yourself, what is it that I would like to do? What is my purpose in life? Not your gift. What is my thing that I want to be doing? What makes me happy?
Mm.
Most fulfilled.
Mm. Mm.
I'll
Mm.
give you a good example. I'm coaching a businesswoman and she's got a few companies. And one of the things I asked her, and we just went off the rail and I said, what is it that you want as a person? And it was interesting. And she said, I want to do this. This really makes me happy. Totally different from whatever the things that she's doing. And she said, and I said, but you know what? He's going to take you away. She said, but when we did the strategy for her plan, right, a business plan, she said, I like that. She said, when I'm doing that, I just feel so good as opposed to the other. And we were looking at it, and she's saying yes. And now she realized she's going to get someone else to delegate that work. That she's going to spend more time on what she wants to do. And as you're smiling, that's how she was smiling. So yes, yet when she spoke on the other thing where she's getting the money from, she's not happy there. But when she's talking about the other, I'm not going to give names. I'm not going to say what it is. But when the
Mm.
other spectrum, she's really happy. And she's so
That's it.
excited. But you see the child in her again. And
Wow.
that's what we want to do. So many of us, knowing yourself is that's the other thing. Bring out the child in you again. Bring out to understand, like, what is it makes me happy.
Mm.
So
Mm.
we've
Wow.
along the way.
Wow. Wow, Shada. There's a lot there. You've heard it for yourselves, guys. Values. What are your values? The wheel of life. And all these things happen in coaching, by the way. She's already speaking her work, but she's tying it into the self-work that I was talking about, finding you, discovering yourself. A lot of people don't even understand who they are. She says, who are you outside of the titles? outside of the what the master's degrees and PhDs that will, of course, the world has given us, and these are good things, but we need to find us, because I find as well, as Shada was speaking, a whole lot of people that we look up to and we think have made it in life actually don't even realize that they don't know themselves. And when you do then ask them is when you realize that they are just making it according to what society has said, this is it. But they themselves have not found themselves powerful. Shada, our time is running out.
I say something there on that. Can I?
Yes.
Yeah, knowing yourself also is like you find lots of people look for validation in other people. They say something, they look for validation, right? That's number one. Number two is that they look for happiness in someone else.
Mm,
You know, a lot of people say a question like, "Are you not married? Why? Because you're gonna get you're happy with the way you are, and they find that you have to meet someone else to make you happy." And then you ask them, like, are you really happy in the relationship? No, I'm not really happy. I don't think.
mm,
So why do you want to do some? You're promoting someone else to do something that you're not happy in. So the question is, you know, when you don't know yourself, you look for validation in other people. You don't feel secure. You feel insecure. But when you really know yourself, who you are, and you build yourself up, until you build yourself really well, and that's when you really know yourself. Up until
wow.
then, you're gonna be like a crab all over looking for things
Mm, mm, mm.
to make you happy. And
Sure.
everything is inside us.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Thank you, Shada. Thank you for dropping that gem into that. We needed to hear that. Our time is running away. We actually have a few minutes, Shada. So I'm going to ask you, I guess, one last question. Um, that you can please, maybe two, but you just tie them together. First is going to be, in what ways has faith been a catalyst for empowering individuals to overcome their fears and rewrite their stories? I wanted to even read from your website because you talk about, and I'll read this quickly. You may be asking yourself, why should I tell my story? Can I trust these people who read my story? Can I take back my story? Will anyone notice my story? Why am I telling my story? But it is that story that keeps you blocked. It keeps you disconnected and from living your dreams and of a life of abundance, as well as from being your true self. I loved that part. So I want you to talk us through, faith and the power of one owning their story and saying it out. And then maybe just touch a little bit about the humanitarian and philanthropy work that you also do. And
Mhm.
yeah, those two questions.
Oh, time's running out. Okay, let me keep it as right. If you look at everything today in today's world, how many authors have you got now writing books? You're an author.
Mm,
Why did
mm,
you write
mm.
the book? Why did you write your book?
My own story. I needed to
Yeah,
share something.
you can share your story. Why do you want to share your story?
I felt someone would get help from it because of it was just deep for me. Yeah.
Right. Yes, and if you look at the books, like the bookshelves now in the bookstores, never before you have had so many authors, and everyone's telling their story, and you got someone reading their story, and somebody's touched by the story. So
Mm,
storytelling has become so big and so huge, impactful for people globally, because people
yeah.
want to resonate with someone's story to either fix their own problem or heal,
Mm,
because we've gone by those days of paperback stories, fictions. We want to hear real
mm,
stories, real truth,
mm,
because in the
mm.
real truth can we help someone else. And
True.
everybody has a story, no matter what the story is. No matter what the story is, everyone has a story, and your story is going to resonate with someone else somewhere. I will give you a very quick one. When I went to Shanghai, the church that I was with, I had a very good friend, and her name was Pepe, and she was like always introducing you to new people, and then one day I was sitting there, and she would always bring new people to talk to you, kind of. And that's what she did so well, networking. So she one day said to me, and I was sitting having my coffee in Starbucks. There, she said I was chatting. She says, "Can you please talk to this lady?" And I said, "Oh, Pepper, you're doing it again to me, you know, like every time." So she said. She said, no, tell her you talk to her. Just talk to her. I want you to talk to her. I said, like, what am I going to talk to her about? She says, she's just got a divorce, but you've got to talk to her. Like, okay, so and the lady standing there said, okay, we had a coffee. I took her the other side. So I'm just chatting and talking to her, and she was telling me how. So I started telling her my story, after she told hers. And I said, yeah, I know what it is. And she felt better after me telling her my story. So your story, no matter where you are in the world, whatever the story is, even if you impact one person, you're impacting one person, that family around her is also going to be impacted by helping that person. So no matter what, and we all are uniquely made.
That's true.
Right? And we all have a purpose. We all have a story. And how many billion people are on this world? And someone's going to resonate with the story. And so by shying away from our stories and not telling, we're actually holding back a treasure that we can give someone else.
Mm,
We're being
true.
we are being selfish.
Yeah.
But there comes a time when you have to be vulnerable. And again, vulnerability, you got to measure that with trust, right? You just can't just be vulnerable. The time will come for everybody to tell theirs in their time.
Mm,
But the more we tell and the more we talk, we actually are healing ourselves.
true. True.
Yeah. And then
Wow.
so going from that story to my philanthropy work abroad, and that's what happened there, just telling my story. And then I realized that I was earning a good salary, I had everything. I was living a life of abundance, traveling the world, coming to South Africa once a year, having holidays all over. But I felt there was a missing element in me. And I saw that in
Mm,
other women that were the expat women, that we were living a life that we could help other people. And that's when I started my organization, helping other women and children in Cambodia, India, Nepal, parts of China. We help them with life skills and education.
wow.
I felt that I had the money, and I came with education. I was able to change my life very quickly. Other people
Wow.
should be given the opportunity too.
Wow. Wow.
And to storytelling, and it was really good because when you start moving out of your own zone, when you walk in faith, knowing that you can do something for someone else and
Wow.
trust that it's going to happen. I eventually had about another 15 women from different parts of the world living in Shanghai that came and joined me. And
Wow.
I founded the company, Pathways of Hope. And together with multinational companies that bought into our idea, we did a lot of work there,
Wow.
empowering children. So
Wow.
we all have the potential, all of us. We need to just step inside and get help and go out there and help other people. No matter how bad your situation is, when you go out to help someone else, something great happens to you.
Wow. Wow, Shada. What a faith in action story. What a faith in action story. Who knew that that day you cried by the lake was a call to say there's women waiting on the other side that need to hear your story, that are wailing, that are crying, they don't know what to do, that are looking for an answer, that need purpose because of your story. In that moment, you wouldn't have known, but there was faith in all of it, faith in action, faith in God, faith in the word, and just trusting in the unknown and saying, God, take over. Thank you for sharing your beautiful story, Shada.
Thank
It's,
you for
I
having
mean,
me.
pleasure, a pleasure. We didn't even touch on a whole lot of things. But even this that we've shared tonight is life transforming for me as an individual. Actually, I feel I feel that there's a burden that's just left me through this conversation. I must say, like I was feeling a bit heavy, but I am feeling a bit light now. So I do feel the impact of, what you've shared with us. I can relate and resonate with your story. And really thank you for encouraging our audience and our listeners to share their own story, because each and everybody has a story to tell. And it's your story that Tinashe needs to heal something in her that hasn't healed. And when you read Tinashe's story, you get to heal something in you that you haven't healed from. So, and when you also hear about Shada's story and all the work she's done, you get to be healed through her story. So we ought to share our stories. Yes, it's a vulnerable space and a place to be, but like you say in your website, that it becomes a block that holds you back when there's something that says, don't share it, don't share it, don't share it. And I guess that's where the enemy gets most of us. So it's important that we get out there and share
Can I just
our
say
stories.
something? Sorry, can I just say before we just
Yes.
wrap up? Okay. We live in a society, we live in cultures, we live in religions, we live everywhere where we say we're not judgmental, but we judge people. We need to stop doing, and that's what stops people from telling the story.
Hmm.
You
Wow.
know, we need to
Wow.
open up more to allow people to stop judging people, and that's the thing. We should need to stop, especially even in the Christian, in the church, wherever we are.
Yes.
We need to stop judging people and stop having little cliques. Because when you
Yes.
have these little things, you stop people from telling the story. And people may want to come and say something on that particular day. They're like all revved up, like I was on that day when I sat in the park and I want to say, and they've come there to share it or ask someone to talk to. But because we all are so closed,
Mhm.
they go back sad with that untold story.
That's right. We're
So we
putting
need
it together.
to be more approachable, and that's what church you should spend more time with,
Mm.
getting
Mm.
to know. So when we're approachable, we're open. People can open up as well. There's so many people come to church and go to any religious organization that where they want to be felt that this is home for me.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
But what happens when they leave more sadder because they haven't,
That's,
and that's sad.
yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Thank you, Shada. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for encouragement. Thank you for enlightening us tonight. I'm truly, truly blessed to have had you on the Faith in Action episode. The last words, do you want to say some parting words and where people can get a hold of you? Maybe
Hmm.
there's a business person out there listening. There's someone who's trying to navigate through issues in their marriage, in their relationship. There's someone who needs coaching on finding healing, finding themselves. There's someone who needs maybe help with the philanthropy work that you also do. How can they get a hold of Shada? Where can they find her? And what are your last parting words?
Okay, before you can find me, my last parting was, if you are in any relationship or if you are hurting, if you're going through a phase in your life where you feel you can't take it anymore, walk away. Walk away while you're still healthy. Walk away while you still have your body, you still have intelligence, you still have everything intact. Walk away because there will be someone out there to help you. Walk in faith, knowing that it can happen. You can, because this is not the life you should be leading. Number one. Number two, I also want to, if any, people from the church or anyone that's here, please, to everybody, because all religions teach good. And I've traveled the world and everyone teaches good. Let us continue promoting love and forgiveness in whatever we do. And that's where healing takes place for all of us. But if you want to get in contact with me, you can see me on Instagram, Shada Francis, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And I'd love you to contact me if you need any help. I'm here to support you on your walk, on your journey. Life is like
Awesome.
a kaleidoscope. Whichever way you turn it, you get a beautiful picture. So we all have a
Wow.
beautiful story and a beautiful picture.
Wow. Wow. Love, 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 love it. Thank you, Shada. Thank you so much. I feel so blessed to have come across you, to have chatted to you, to have
So beautiful chatting, yeah.
drawn. Sorry.
So beautiful having this chat is so much more.
We should schedule another one when we can, definitely. Yeah, I loved having you on the show. Thank you again. And to all the listeners, to everybody that's joined in tonight, thank you for joining in another episode of the Faith in Action or podcast, where we were talking about all things and the power of faith with Shada Francis in an inspiring journey of how she navigated life through faith in God and the far reaching impact that she's made and all that she's done. So thank you once again, everybody, for joining through. Until we meet again, it's me, your host, Tinashe Mujera, of the Faith in Action podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Tinashe Mujera. I'm an author, I'm a marketplace professional, and I'm a woman of God. I am a representation of tested faith. I represent my healed wounds that left ugly scars. This is the Faith in Action podcast that has been created to help you find the journey to your true self through conversations and lessons shared.